I think it is very important that whenever this story is reported on, whether it's by the lamestream media, whether it's by independent journalists like you, it is very important to note that James O'Keefe and Project Veritas were the ones who actually turned this diary that they could not confirm. They were the ones who turned it into the FBI. It wasn't somebody trying to hold a grudge against James O'Keefe. It was Project Veritas that turned this diary in. And I think that's a very important point that a lot of people leave out.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. So they turned in the diary and
Yes.
the FBI came to seize other materials from O'Keefe's home?
Yes. And this was, I'm not trying to go down the conspiracy theorist route, but if you watch I think it was 2 nights ago, maybe 3 nights ago, Rachel Maddow had the reporter from the New York Times who is breaking this story about how Project Veritas is a bunch of whistleblowers, which I thought was always protected. I thought whistleblowers got protection. But it's important to note that it was the New York Times who already have lawsuits, or as we say in the streets, beef with the New York, with Project Veritas and the New York Times. There's already strife there. And I find it, I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, Allison, but I do find it kind of funny how the New York Times, who is already under lawsuits and depositions from James O'Keefe and Project Veritas, how they're the ones who are leading the charge in the coverage of Project Veritas being raided by the FBI.
Right. Okay. Yes, I'm glad that you said all of that, because you're right. So according to I'm reading another report on it right now. Because it was a little confusing. So yes, O'Keefe gets this diary that apparently was stolen, but he didn't steal it, but it was given to him by somebody else.
Right.
Or it was given to Project Veritas. I'm assuming he got it. That they turned it over, and then authorities raided the apartments and homes of other current and former members of the organization and confiscated unspecified material. So we don't totally know exactly all of what was taken. Of course, now a lot of, and rightly so, a lot of press freedom organizations are asking questions about this and saying that this is concerning. Trevor Tim here, who I've reached out to see if he would come on my channel, but I have not heard back, says, I know I'm going to get 24 replies to this tweet saying, but O'Keefe, not a journalist. Read the statute, it doesn't matter. I don't personally like Project Veritas at all, but imagine this was a liberal organization under Trump, not a good precedent. This guy, just so that I make sure I get his, Freedom of the Press Foundation. So, all right, so he couches this with like, I don't like Project Veritas. I know people are going to say they're not real journalists. The ACLU, if you take a look here, the following is a statement from Brian House, senior staff attorney with ACL's Speech, Privacy, and Technology Project, in response to reports of FBI raid on Project Veritas founder James O'Keefe. And they started out the same way. Project Veritas has engaged in disgraceful deceptions, and reasonable observers might not consider their activities to be journalism at all. Nevertheless, the precedent set in this case could have serious consequences for press freedom. Bill, why this is Trevor again, this is his article, and and they talk about it too. Obviously they go into detail here about the case and why they're still defending themselves, because they said they got a bunch of angry tweets about it. He goes, whether we or anyone for that matter consider O'Keefe and Project Veritas to be journalists is beside the point. If in this particular case they were engaged in acts of journalism, receiving information from a source and looking into whether they should publish it, the case may have serious implications for press freedom. Bill, why do we have to hear constantly? Is it just because they're trying to defend themselves against what they know is going to be an attack on them for even daring to stick up for Project Veritas? Why is everybody couching this in like a, listen, I don't like these guys, but like what's going on there? Why do they feel the need to do that?
They have to for two different reasons. The first one is the woke mob, the woke Twitter. These folks will hammer you like you were a virgin on prom night if you defend something that appears to be from the right or something that seems to be conservative. Now, that's number one. Number two, somebody has to lead the way. And when I say this, oh my God, I cannot believe I'm going to say this out loud. You have people like Crystal Ball, Kyle Kalinske, even Anna Kasparian, who are saying that, oh my God, Project Veritas is the worst thing that has ever happened to America. But this is an assault on the First Amendment. And we can't deny that because we can't deny it because it's true. But the long story short is when you have so many people who have to defend what they believe is wrong, you're going to have a outpouring of support from, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. It's that principle. And you have people like I said, like Kyle Kalinske, who even came out and said, look, James O'Keefe is garbage. Project Veritas is, so terrible. But, people like Ryan Grimm from The Intercept have come out and said, look, I don't agree with their tactics, but this is an assault on the First Amendment.
Before we get to the rest of this video, don't forget you can support my work by also checking out my sponsors and having a glass of wine or a cup of coffee in honor of free speech. The first is AllisonWinePromo.com, Allison with 1L winepromo.com. You get 50% off of my favorite Argentinian Malbecs and 50% off of shipping. They have switched out the 3 bottles from the last pairing, so check them out. Many of these are high altitude wines. They're very robust. They use no flavoring, no filtering, no dyes, and no excess chemicals. But if you need something to wake you up, like a strong cup of coffee, check out twinenginecoffee.com/Allison, twinenginecoffee.com/Allison. They've got a wide variety of roasts. These are high altitude, shade grown Nicaraguan coffees that are also USDA certified organic. They also do a lot of great work to help prevent sea turtle nests from being poached. You can support their work by also going to twinenginecoffee.com/Allison and become a sponsor. And they'll even show you video of when the sea turtle nests that they're protecting are hatched. So check out my sponsors and support free speech wherever you are. Or what I'm really saying is like they're willing to say it with their little contextualizations,
right?
Personal opinion about it. Like,
right.
Who cares? Just I don't care if you did or did not get the vaccine. Tell me what the science says. I don't care if you think James O'Keefe is or is not a journalist, or you do or do not like his tactics or whatever. Just tell me how the law applies or what you think the precedent is.
Exactly.
Whatever. Like, I don't know. I just think that's very weird.
No, I agree with you, but I also think it's important to note that there's so many different media outlets ranging from as far left as The Intercept to straight down the middle as The Hill to far right as the Daily Wire that will lump James O'Keefe in the same boat as Julian Assange. And they've done it in articles, they've done it in videos. So, and to me, Julian Assange is not a journalist. I think he's I
disagree with that. I disagree. Okay. But yeah, I think that with O'Keefe, I just think it's really interesting that people are willing to jump in, but have to signal at the beginning. It's like let me go back to the vaccine conversation for a second. Okay. If you're gonna cite the science, or you want to say, hey, we should be united over like pushing back on mandates and the unvaccinated are not your enemy. I've heard people say that, right? Mm-hmm. But if you start out by saying that with, listen, I'm vaccinated, but it just, to me, it's like you just created a division by saying like, listen, I'm in the in group, all right? I'm not one of those crazy people, but I still think we should be nice to the crazy people. That's what I'm saying. And then like with O'Keefe, it's like, listen, I mean, I don't know if he's really a journalist, but I still think he should be. You're undermining your very argument by doing that, whatever that is, virtue signal or, stereotyping. I feel like you're undermining your message by starting out having to, I don't know, contextualize him or couch it in like, I don't really like the way he acts, and I don't really like the way he talks, and you know what I mean? All this stuff.
No, I get you.
But well, look, stop doing that. Just if you should stick up for him, and stop acting like holier than thou. You're sweeping in to do the right thing, but you're starting out by setting up a dialectic and this division that I think is really unhelpful. I leave it there.